Hello everyone, welcome to Risa Does Makeup. If you're new here, my name is Risa and I have been a makeup artist for more than 20 years, although I consider myself a retired makeup artist because I do YouTube full-time now. And today I wanted to develop or curate the ultimate drugstore makeup kit for beginners. Not only for beginners, but also really geared towards those of you that, like me, are over 40. I've seen quite a few younger YouTubers do this video, but I really feel like there needed to be one for those of us over 40 because many times the products that work really well for younger skin don't perform as well for those of us who are a little bit older. That said, if you are in your 20s or 30s watching this video, every product that I'm going to show you today is fantastic and I think will work for you as well. I'm going to be taking you step by step through an entire drugstore makeup routine. All of the products I'm going to be using are ones that I've either fallen in love with recently or that I've been raving about for a long time. So let's get started. Okay, I'm starting this video assuming that your skin prep is completed. You've applied your moisturizer that's suitable for your skin type, and then perhaps a sunscreen, hopefully a sunscreen. I'm gonna begin with primers. I am someone, because of my oily skin, that really does need to use a primer. I have large pores, and I also have very oily eyelids. So if I don't use an eyeshadow primer, regardless of the eyeshadow I wear, it can be a very expensive Natasha Denona or it can be Wet n Wild. If I don't use a primer, my eyeshadow is going to pool on my lids. It's not going to last all day. So I'm going to start with an eyeshadow primer from Milani. And you're gonna notice a lot of Milani products in this video because it is my most favorite drugstore brand. And no, this video is not sponsored by them. I just really love their products. So I'm taking the Milani eyeshadow primer and applying that to my lids. And now for the face, a primer and the necessity of a primer is going to be dependent on your skin. A lot of drier skins can just use a really good moisturizer under their makeup, but if you have issues with your foundation not wearing long enough, then I definitely think a primer could be helpful. Or if the issue is lack of radiance, I recommend using just a glow enhancing product underneath your makeup, like this one from L'Oreal. It's the Lumi Glotion. You can either apply this first and then put your foundation over it, or you can mix the two together. You can also use a hydrating primer. I have heard really good things about the e.l.f. Jelly Pop Dew Primer. And then I also really like this one from ColourPop. It is the Pretty Fresh Hydrating Hyaluronic Acid Primer. This one would be an excellent choice for combo to dry skin. Now, if you have very oily skin, large pores, you might want to look into a smoothing primer. NYX Angel Veil is really good for that. Or one of my tricks that I've used for a very, very long time is to use just a small amount of milk of magnesia. Yes, you heard that right. Milk of magnesia applied very lightly through the T-zone is really, really going to help to control oily breakthrough. I'm going to be using a recent discovery of mine. This is the Makeup Obsession Picture Perfect Pore Blurring Primer. My pores are huge, especially through my T-zone. So I find that this does a nice job at blurring them. You can see that this side looks a lot better than this side. And now we can move on to foundation. I have quite a few drugstore favorites for mature skin. One of them is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear. This one is probably my top pick. No, maybe it's my number 2 pick out of all the ones I'm gonna show you. Because for me personally, I really like the coverage that this one gives. I like more medium, buildable to full. And that's what you can achieve with this foundation without it looking cakey. And it does last all day. However, if you feel like this foundation doesn't give you enough glow, then I would recommend the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Pro Glow. And then if you want something that's a little bit more sheer, that doesn't have that medium to full coverage, I would take a look at the Revlon Candid foundation, or the Candid Glow. The foundation I'm going to be using today has been a favorite of mine for quite a while now. It is the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. This one is also a 24-hour foundation. Not that I wear my foundations for 24 hours, but this foundation also gives me that medium buildable to full coverage that I love without looking heavy and cakey. It also gives me the long wear time like the Fresh Wear does. However, this one will keep me more matte throughout the day. So that's why I'm going to use this one today. And they did just expand the color range. I buy this at Ulta, and normally they don't have all of the shades in store, but you can often find, well, you should be able to find all of the shades online. So I'm going to apply this with a Real Techniques sponge. And actually what I'm gonna do is I am going to apply a little bit to my face first using my fingers. Just sort of blend it out most of the way. And then I'm going to take the Real Techniques sponge and pat it in and blend it out. Okay, so now the foundation is on. You can see how it covered everything it needed to cover, but it still looks really natural. So moving on to concealer. Two of my absolute favorite drugstore concealers are the Milani Conceal and Perfect and the Maybelline Superstay Full Coverage. These are both excellent for covering dark circles. I don't find them to be heavy or cakey. I don't find them to emphasize dryness or fine lines under the eyes. Of course, with any concealer, you don't want to use too much because that can really exacerbate the effect of a drier, cakier looking under eye. So today I am going to use the Milani Conceal and Perfect because I find this one to have a little bit more of a dewy finish under the eyes. Now, some of you might also need a corrector. If you have really, really dark circles, you might want to check out the LA Girl Pro Conceal Correctors. They have them in all different shades. They have yellow, they have peach, they have pink, they have green. Green is going to help counteract any redness in the skin, so you can use that on your face before you apply foundation. Or you can use the yellow or the peach to help with dark circles under the eyes. I find that this alone covers the blue and purple that I have going on here. I'm blending this out with my trusty little e.l.f. sponge. Now I want to say one more thing about the eyeshadow primer is that if your lids aren't super oily, as you can see I'm sort of going over my lids with the concealer as well. This is in order to just even out the skin tone on my lid, but if you do not have really oily lids, this step alone can suffice as your eyeshadow primer. You don't. All right, base is on. Now let's powder. I'm not going to be powdering my entire face because I will be using a cream blush very shortly. So I'm gonna take a big fluffy brush and this beautiful number 7 powder. It is the Lift and Luminate Triple Action Finishing Powder. I'm using the shade Light. This was recommended to me by you, by my viewers. I've been using Charlotte Tilbury's Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder for years. I have both shades 1 and shades 2, and I recommend it all the time. And whenever I've done dupes videos, this powder always gets mentioned in the comments as a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush. So I finally went to Target and picked it up, and I definitely think it is a dupe. Honestly, I don't think it's quite as good as the Charlotte Tilbury, but it is a beautiful powder. It really does give a very nice, soft, airbrushed effect. All right, moving on to eyebrows. A lot of you may already have really great eyebrows. They can be full and even in color, so you might only need a clear brow gel. And you don't actually even need a clear brow gel. You can just take a disposable mascara wand, spray it with some hairspray or dip it in some hair gel or use a bar of soap and brush them up and you are good to go. But as we age, a lot of times our brows and our lashes become much more sparse. Many of you probably over tweezed back in the 90s, so your brows could be quite thin and you want to thicken them up. A thicker, fuller brow is definitely more youthful, and you don't want to ignore your brows. Your brows are the frame for your face. I've been loving this ultra fine pencil from CoverGirl. NYX also makes a really great pencil. They are both, I think, excellent dupes for the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. So I'm going to speed this part up and then we're going to move on to eyeshadow. Oh, I want to pause for a minute and just say that if you think it's odd that I'm smiling while I apply my brow pencil, that's because I find that smiling is the best way for me to get my brows to be even. And I recently did an entire video on this tip or trick, so I will link that in the description box. Moving on to eyeshadow. A couple of affordable palettes I've spoken about on my channel before are the BH Cosmetics 16 color palettes like Love in London and Beautiful in Barcelona. Those are palettes that I reach for over and over. I just love them. I also really like the e.l.f. quads, the ones that are either $2.99 or $3.99. I've done videos using those as well. Actually, I have one right here. The Bite Size Eyeshadows is what they're called, and they are so good. But if you are a beginner and you don't want to have a bunch of different palettes, or you don't want a palette that's too big and has too many shades and that can be confusing for you, I highly, highly recommend this Color Icon quad from Wet n Wild. It's called My Glamour Squad. This palette contains every shade a beginner needs. They give you a really good amount of the two most important shades, the neutral transition shade and then this dark brown that can be used for eyeliner or can be used for a smokier look. This palette will really take you from day to night. It has mostly mattes, but there are a couple of beautiful shimmers that I'm going to show you in a second when I apply them. And it also contains this matte black, so if you want to use the brown as a shadow and you prefer a black eyeliner, you know, maybe for a dressier evening out, that's in here too. And I was so impressed with the quality of this eyeshadow palette. I am going to be reaching for this often. I'm gonna start by going into this transition shade and just applying that through my crease. Because my eyes are hooded, I like to raise my brows and put my chin up so I can really see the area that I want to cover. And again, because I have hooded eyes, I am taking this shade a little bit higher than the fold. Now I'm going in with a flat brush. I'm gonna go into this ivory shade and apply that underneath the brow and blend it out with my finger. So now I'm dampening a synthetic brush and I am going into this beautiful shimmery lavender-ish taupe shade. And I'm laying this all over my lid. Look at how stunning this color is. So pretty. Now I'm going back in with that transition shade again and blending everything out. Actually, I'm gonna go back in with the shade that's a little bit more red, more of a reddish brown, and I'm going to put that over that first transition shade, just to blend everything out. Now you can leave the look like this and just apply some eyeliner and mascara, but I like to lift my eyes because they are a little bit downturned. So I'm going to go in with a smaller brush And I'm gonna use the dark brown shade. I'm gonna go crazy and do more of a smoky look. And I'm just gonna apply that in circles and then upwards toward my temple so I can lift my eyes a little bit. And now just for fun, I'm going to take a little bit of that ivory shade again that I used under the brow, and I'm going to pop that on the center of my mobile lid to give the eye sort of a halo effect. Now obviously, if you are a beginner, you might not do all of these steps, but I wanted to show you as many colors from this palette as I could, and just show you how versatile it is. When you are a beginner, I typically recommend staying away from pencils and liquid liners and just using either a matte black or a matte navy or a matte purple or a matte brown as your eyeliner. And I'm gonna take the matte brown, I am going to apply that to the outer corners of my lower lash lines. And I'm just putting it 3/4 of the way out. And again, because I want to show you as many colors from the palette as possible, I am going to use the matte black to lightly line my upper lids. I'm just going right at the base of the lashes. And I always recommend putting your chin up and looking down into a mirror when working on your eyeliner. It just allows you to see the entire space. It's very similar, well, it's this exact same thing that I did when I was applying my crease color. You're just able to see the area that you are working with so much better. Moving on to lashes, I am fully aware that to a lot of people, a lash curler looks like a torture device. However, I feel like it really does make a huge difference in your appearance. It makes your eyes look so much more awake and lifted. I've been using an eyelash curler for years and I will not be without it. And I do this step before I tightline, which is another thing that I really recommend, especially if you have light lashes like I do. I don't like to be able to see that skin, that little tiny bit of flesh right there. I like to fill that in with a little liner, which is called tight lining, for those of you who might not be aware. Now, the thing about curling your eyelashes is that oftentimes when you go to apply your mascara, the mascara will pull the curl right out. And what I've discovered is that waterproof mascaras are a lot better at holding curl. However, waterproof mascaras can be a lot more drying and damaging to the lashes. So honestly, you really don't want to be using a waterproof mascara every single day. I have found one really, really good drugstore mascara that seems to keep the curl better than any other non-waterproof mascara I've tried. And that is the Essence Lash Princess Mascara. But before I apply my mascara, I am going to tightline. And for that, I'm using this Almay eyeliner. As I've gotten older, I've become a lot more sensitive to different eyeshadow formulas, different eyeshadow colors, to eyeliner pencils. I cannot use any sort of gel eye pencil on my eyes, whether it be in my lower inner rims or to tightline. They just irritate my eyes so much. I've gone to using Almay for my tightlining and it does not bother me at all. And it actually has some really good staying power. Mine is almost out. I need to buy a new one. So I lift up, oh God, I don't even think I have any left to do this. Bummer. Well, I guess that's the last of that pencil. I'll be buying a new one today. So now I am going to apply the mascara, and this just gives my fine, thin lashes so much length and volume, and as I mentioned, it does a pretty darn good job of holding the curl. All right, we are pretty close to being done. For bronzer, two of my favorites are the Milani Silky Matte Bronzer and the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. Both of these are some of the best on the market. They smell amazing too. They smell like a vacation. I'm gonna be using the Milani today just because the shade I have in the Butter Bronzer, which is called Endless Summer, is a little bit dark for me right now. Just a smidge. This is the one I reach for when I've used self-tanner and I've used a darker foundation. So again, for today, we're using the Milani. This is a matte bronzer and it is incredible. I'm gonna take another big fluffy brush, go into the bronzer and dust this on the high points of my face. Moving on to blush, I have recently discovered the Milani Cheek Kiss Liquid Blush as well as the Maybelline Cheek Heat blushes. Both of these are amazing for just giving you that really natural, beautiful flush to the cheeks. I've also really been loving these Revlon powder blushes. In fact, I did an entire video dedicated to them recently, and I still cannot believe that I completely forgot to include them in my July favorites video. How I forgot, I honestly don't know, but these are incredible. I have purchased them in every color. So if you are a powder blush lover, then I highly recommend these. Some of my favorite shades are Pink Cognito, Apricot, this one is Rose Bomb. But because I've already shown those in another video, I'm going to use this. I think I'm gonna try the Maybelline Cheek Heat since we've used a lot of Milani already. And we're gonna show another brand some love. You can either apply this with your finger. I like to smile and then sort of pat it in. And look at how this gives a really pretty glow to my skin. The color is subtle but buildable. And as I just said, it gives a really nice glow as well. So for a lot of you, this might be enough as far as giving you the sort of radiant look that you're wanting without having to use a separate highlighter. But we're still gonna use a highlighter today. And another way you can apply cream or liquid blush is to put a little bit on the back of your hand and then just take a regular blush brush, tap it in, and then buff it on your cheeks. Okay, we are all blushed up. So now if you still want a little bit more glow, we can go in with a highlighter. And I have many drugstore highlighters that I love. One of my absolute favorites is the Neutrogena Glow On, and I will put a photo of it up on the screen. And I'm very sad to say that I believe this product has been discontinued because I cannot find it anywhere, and it's even difficult to find online. So I am going to use this beautiful highlighter from CoverGirl. This is the True Blend Super Stunner in the shade Pearl Crush. And I'm going to apply that right to the tops of my cheekbones. Bam, look at that. This highlighter seriously rivals many of my high-end highlighters. And what I love about this highlighter in particular is that it doesn't have any like chunky glitter. It doesn't emphasize texture a lot. Truth be told, a lot of powder highlighters do emphasize texture, but this one is not too bad, and I just love the look, so I'm okay with it. And I'm also going to pop a little bit in the inner corners of my eyes by my tear ducts. Oh, I almost forgot to mention that I also really like the Milani Baked blushes. I've been using these for years, and this is another product, another blush formula that can be used as a hybrid, a blush highlighter hybrid. They give a beautiful glow. And my favorites are Bella Bellini and Luminoso, but they have darker colors for darker skin, and they're just so good. Okay, let's finish up with lips. I have really been liking this NYX Lingerie Push Up Long Lasting Lipstick in the shade Birthday Suit. I love a chunky pencil because they are so easy to use. You can line and fill in your entire lip quickly and easily. And isn't this just a great color? Now you can always stop here, but another drugstore product that I cannot get enough of are these lifter glosses from Maybelline. They are so good. I am a gloss girl. I buy way too many glosses than one should. And I really like the Fenty glosses. And I've seen a lot of people talk about these as a dupe, and I would have to agree. I think they are a really nice dupe. And I'm trying to figure out what shade I want to use today. I think I'm going to use the shade Moon. These contain hyaluronic acid, which if you don't know, hyaluronic acid is a moisture binder. It attracts 1,000 times its weight in water. So it's going to bring all of the moisture in the air and from your skin to your lips to make them look fuller. In addition to that, this gloss is not sticky at all. It's so shiny. I've never tried this combo before, but it might be a new favorite. Look at that shine. And finally, one more thing you might want to add to your beginner makeup kit is a setting spray. A setting spray can do a number of things. It can prolong the wear of your makeup. Some setting sprays can help to control oil. Some just have a very invigorating scent to them. And others, like this one from Milani, it's called the Make It Dewy Setting Spray. This not only prolongs your makeup, but also gives a little bit of a dewy glow to the skin. Even though I do have oily skin, I still really like this one. Well, okay, so that completes my picks for the ultimate drugstore beginner makeup kit. I'm going to be leaving the links for every product in the description box. And if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to leave them for me in the comments. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would be very grateful if you would hit that subscribe button, become part of the Risa Does Makeup family, and maybe take it one step further and hit that notification bell so you don't miss an upload. I do try to upload at least 2 to 3 times a week. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter under the same username. It's all Risa Does Makeup. Thank you all so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.